Hayi ave ungagqoki lalela nawe ukuba ume njengami ngaba ugqoki. Ukuba ufresh nje nawe njengami ngabe uhlezi ukhindile manje-ke phela.
It was supposed to be a night of celebration, a joyful December evening filled with laughter and holiday spirit. But for Ayabonga Mjilo, a bright and ambitious 23-year-old mother, it became a night of horror, one that ended in cold-blooded murder. She had everything to live for, a young daughter, dreams for the future, and a determination to build a better life. Yet, in the blink of an eye, it was all stolen from her. Her body was later discovered in the backyard of one man, Mfanafuthi Kunene, the same man she was last seen with, the same man who could have saved her but instead became her executioner. He has been caught. He is behind bars. But justice is not served until he is sentenced, until Ayabonga's family can find peace, until the system proves that her life mattered. What really happened that night? What drove him to commit such a heinous act? And as we wait for the trial to unfold, one question remains. Will justice truly be served? A warm welcome to Shocking Facts True Crime. Here we unravel details behind every true crime stories. We value your support. Kindly support us by subscribing to our channel. Hit the notification bell so you don't miss the next shocking true crime story. The vibrant Ayabonga Mjilo, a 23-year-old dynamo who had just graduated from the prestigious Durban University of Technology with a degree in public relations and communications. This bright spark had spent 4 years honing her skills and was ready to take the world by storm. And as fate would have it, she landed her dream job at a BPO organization, a business that specialized in outsourcing non-core tasks to other companies. It was the perfect opportunity for her to showcase her talents and provide a comfortable life for her adorable 2-year-old daughter. Ayabonga was living her best life, and why not? She was young, talented, and had a job that paid the bills, and then some. She had a social life that would put a socialite to shame, attending pool parties, lounging on water beds, and taking Instagram-worthy photos. This Zulu native was proud of her heritage and actively participated in cultural events that celebrated her roots. She was the epitome of a modern young woman, balancing work and play with ease. But, as we all know, life has a way of throwing curveballs, and Ayabonga's workplace became a source of stress. It's not uncommon, right? We've all had to deal with annoying colleagues or difficult bosses at some point. But Ayabonga's situation was different. Her manager was a piece of work, to say the least. He was rude, dismissive, and made her life a living hell. The complaints about his behavior had been piling up, and many of his former employees had jumped ship to escape his toxic management style. Ayabonga, however, tried to tough it out, but eventually she has had enough. She bid adieu to the company and hello to a new opportunity. And oh, what a glorious new opportunity it was. She landed a job at a call center with a more flexible schedule and a fatter paycheck. It was a match made in heaven, and she was thrilled to have left her old job behind. The year was winding down, and the festive season was in full swing. Ayabonga was invited to a dinner party by her former colleagues, including her old boss, the one she had escaped from. Now, you might think she would have declined the invitation, given their history, but Ayabonga was not one to let past grievances get in the way of a good time. She was the life of the party, and she wasn't about to let her old boss ruin her fun. So, she agreed to attend the dinner party, and that's when the story takes a turn. It's a tale of twists and turns, of surprises and shocks. But, for now, let's just say that Ayabonga's decision to attend that dinner party would set off a chain of events that would change her life forever. Or rather, cut it short. Stay tuned, folks. It's about to get real. On the bustling night, 2 days to Christmas Eve in Durban, 23-year-old Ayabonga Mjilo stepped into the restaurant in which her ex-co-workers invited her to. The night was young, and Ayabonga was looking like $1,000,000, as per usual. The dinner party was in full swing, with laughter, chatter, and clinking glasses filling the air. The wine was flowing, the music was pulsating, and the company was fabulous. Ayabonga and her ex-colleagues were having the time of their lives, reminiscing about old times and making new memories. But as the clock struck a certain hour, the crowd began to disperse. The ex-colleagues started saying their goodbyes, exchanging hugs and promises to catch up soon. The music slowed down, the lights dimmed, and the room began to empty, until it was just Ayabonga and one other person left standing, the infamous Kunene, her ex-boss with a reputation for being, shall we say, less than charming. As the moon rose high in the sky, casting a silver glow over the scene, Ayabonga and Kunene were left alone, surrounded by the remnants of a night well spent. The air was thick with the scent of wine and possibility, and the question on everyone's mind, or at least it should have been, was, what happens next? Does Ayabonga make a quick exit, citing an early morning or a sudden case of exhaustion? Or does she linger, enjoying the company of her ex-boss, despite their complicated history? The night was young, and the possibilities were endless. But, as we all know, some decisions can have deadly consequences. The festive lights of Umhlanga shimmered in the distance, and the scent of the ocean mingled with the aroma of food from nearby eateries. It was meant to be a continuation of celebration, but just for the two of them this time. Unknown to Ayabonga, it would be the last time she was seen alive. As the night wore on, Ayabonga was spotted leaving the restaurant in the company of a man at around 12:11 a.m., slightly after midnight. The details of their journey remained unclear, but when morning came and Ayabonga had not returned home, worry quickly set in. Her family, who had spent the night expecting her safe return, grew anxious as their calls went unanswered. Hours turned into days, and their worst fears began to take shape. With no sign of Ayabonga, a missing persons case was officially opened, and the search for the young woman began. Her family clung to the hope that she would be found alive, that perhaps she was simply lost or unable to reach them. But the cruel reality that awaited them was far more harrowing than they could have ever imagined. Days passed and the search intensified. The SA Police Service worked tirelessly, following every lead, speaking to those who had last seen her, and piecing together the puzzle of her disappearance. Their investigation led them to an unexpected suspect, Ayabonga's former manager, 36-year-old Mfana Futhi Kunene. The revelation sent shockwaves through the community. How could a man who had once employed Ayabonga, someone she had known and trusted, be linked to her vanishing? Questions swirled, but the truth would soon come to light in the most horrifying way. Acting on gathered intelligence, police descended upon Kunene's residence in Amautana, a township in Inanda, Durban. There, in his yard, they made a chilling discovery, a shallow grave. As officers began digging, dread filled the air. And then the truth was unearthed. Ayabonga's lifeless body lay buried beneath the soil. The young woman, who had been full of life, dreams, and aspirations, had been brutally murdered. Evidence suggested she had been strangled before being hastily buried in a crude attempt to conceal the crime. We're not sure exactly what happened that night, so everything about how she died is pure speculation and subject to be proven in court against the alleged killer. Now, everyone who was present for the dinner party that night was a suspect at this point, and although those who left early didn't exactly know who she was last seen with, one thing seemed to add up. Most of them who left later than usual that night pointed at Kunene as the one who was last seen with her in their statements. So, among the suspects, he was the lead suspect. The corporate party had been a whirlwind of laughter, clinking glasses, and forced small talk that everyone pretended to enjoy. But as the night stretched its drunken limbs, only a few diehards remained, because nothing says networking like shots at 2 a.m. She was one of them, graceful, easygoing, and known for forgiving even the most insufferable apologies. And Kunene, well, Kunene was the type of man who could sell a drowning man a glass of water. Charming, calculated, and, as fate would have it, the last person seen with her that night. Their conversation had been smooth, like the whiskey he kept refilling. He played the remorse card well, apologizing for his past mistakes with the kind of sincerity only a man with an ulterior motive could muster. She, ever the kind soul, accepted it with a soft, "It's fine." "Let's head back to my place," he suggested, leaning in just close enough to make it feel like an invitation and not an order. "We can catch up properly, have a few more drinks. No noise, no interruptions, just us." And because she trusted him, because the human heart is both a marvel and a liability, she said yes. They left the restaurant together, sliding into his silver car, a sleek machine that purred like a well-fed predator. The drive was smooth, the city lights bleeding into the night like neon confessions. Then, the house. His place was the kind that whispered wealth but screamed solitude. Drinks were poured, toasts were made to nothing in particular, and at some point, something shifted. Maybe it was the way she laughed a little too freely, or perhaps she said something that cracked the fragile ego he hid behind that expensive cologne. No one knows exactly how it escalated, but what is known is that she was found nowhere the next day, and Kunene's backyard smelled suspiciously fresh, like secrets trying too hard to stay buried. CCTV had caught them leaving together, but she was never seen returning. The tilled soil, still moist, clung to the detective's shoes as they stepped over it, inhaling the scent of a hasty cover-up. Kunene, of course, swore he had nothing to do with it. That was his story, and he was sticking to it, like dirt under fingernails. But the thing about the past? It doesn't stay buried for long. The news of Ayabonga's murder sent ripples of grief and outrage through KwaZulu-Natal. Her family, who had spent agonizing days searching for her, were now left to confront an unbearable truth. Their beloved daughter, sister, and friend had been taken from them in the most violent and senseless way. KwaZulu-Natal Premier Tamsanqa Ntuli was among those who expressed profound sorrow over the tragedy. In a heartfelt statement, he extended his condolences to Ayabonga's grieving family and friends, acknowledging the deep wound her loss had inflicted on the community. "On behalf of the KwaZulu-Natal provincial government, I extend my deepest condolences to the family, friends, and loved ones of Ayabonga Mjilo," Ntuli said. "Losing a young woman in such a brutal manner is a devastating tragedy. We stand in solidarity with the family as they mourn this heartbreaking loss, and we will continue to support them as they seek justice for Ayabonga." Beyond his condolences, the premier underscored a stark reality. Ayabonga's murder was not an isolated incident, but part of a disturbing pattern of violence against women and children in South Africa. He called for urgent action, urging communities, traditional leaders, and the government to stand together in the fight against gender-based violence. As news of the crime spread, demands for justice grew louder. Women and activists across the province voiced their anger, their frustration, and their fear. The brutal killing of Ayabonga Mjilo was not just a tragedy. It was a reflection of the ongoing struggle faced by countless women who live in fear of violence. Premier Ntuli made it clear that justice must prevail. He praised the SA Police Service for their swift and meticulous investigation, which had led to Kunene's arrest. He also called on the judiciary to impose the harshest possible punishment for such a heinous crime. The brutal killing of Ayabonga Mjilo is a stark reminder of the work that lies ahead in our mission to end gender-based violence, Ntuli declared. I commend the South African Police Service for their tireless efforts and urge the judiciary to impose the harshest possible punishment for such heinous crimes. KwaZulu-Natal has no place for individuals who commit these atrocities. Kunene now faces multiple charges, including kidnapping, murder, and defeating the ends of justice. His first court appearance before the Durban Magistrates' Court marked the beginning of a legal battle that Ayabonga's family hopes will bring them justice. However, the case has been postponed to February 26, 2025, prolonging the family's wait for closure. As the case unfolds, Ayabonga's murder has ignited a larger conversation about the safety of women in South Africa. Premier Ntuli's call for collective action resonated deeply, highlighting the urgent need for community-driven solutions. Violence against women is an affront to our values of Ubuntu and humanity, Ntuli said. This scourge demands collective action. I call on our community leaders, traditional authorities, and every citizen to unite in rejecting these barbaric acts. His words served as both a call to action and a plea for change. He emphasized the role of traditional leaders, community structures, and civil society in fostering an environment where women and children are protected, respected, and valued. We must stand as one with a united voice to condemn these acts of violence and reaffirm our commitment to building safe, inclusive communities, he urged. This fight is not just for the government, it is for every one of us. As Ayabonga's loved ones prepare for the long road ahead, their pain is immeasurable, but so is their resolve. The justice system must now take its course, ensuring that the man accused of this horrific crime is held accountable. Her friend, Asanda Shabane, recalled the desperate search for Ayabonga after she was reported missing, saying, "We are shocked she was found dead." Her last post on WhatsApp was of her and her boyfriend. Asanda described Ayabonga's vibrant personality, saying, "She was very bubbly. She was very kind, she liked talking, she was also cheeky." They tracked Ayabonga's phone, and her last whereabouts was at the house where she was found. Ayabonga's elder brother, Mjilo, said, "I'm deeply hurt. We have been affected in different ways," revealing the profound impact of her death on the family. Her story has become more than just a crime report. It is a wake-up call, a painful reminder of the vulnerabilities women face daily. But in the midst of the darkness, there is a glimmer of hope. Hope that Ayabonga's death will not be in vain. Hope that her story will serve as a catalyst for change. And hope that justice will be served. Until then, her name will not be forgotten. Ayabonga Mjilo, daughter, sister, friend, and now a symbol of a nation's fight against gender-based violence. If this chilling story sent shivers down your spine, make sure to share the video, subscribe to the channel for more true crime stories. Don't forget to hit the notification bell to ensure you never miss a new video.